Once upon a time, there was a little boy named Timmy. Timmy loved spending time with his Grandpa Jack, who always had the best stories to tell. Grandpa Jack was a wise old man who had lived a long and interesting life, and he loved nothing more than sharing his stories with Timmy. One evening, as Timmy was getting ready for bed, he asked Grandpa Jack to tell him a bedtime story. Grandpa Jack smiled and began his tale. Once upon a time, a long, long time ago, there was a small village nestled in the heart of a lush green forest. The villagers were hard-working and kind, and they lived a simple but happy life. In the center of the village, there was a grand old oak tree that had been there for as long as anyone could remember. It was a symbol of strength, wisdom, and the enduring power of nature. One day, a group of travelers came to the village. They were a strange and unusual group with colorful clothing and exotic accents. The villagers were fascinated by them, and they welcomed them warmly. The travelers told stories of far-off lands and incredible adventures, and the villagers listened with rapt attention. As the night wore on, the travelers grew more and more animated. They began to talk of a great treasure that was hidden somewhere in the forest. It was said to be a magical artifact that could grant any wish to whoever possessed it. The villagers were entranced by the idea of such a treasure, and they begged the travelers to take them to it. But the travelers were hesitant. They warned the villagers that the forest was full of dangers and that the treasure was guarded by powerful magic. They feared for the safety of the villagers and begged them to reconsider. But the villagers were determined. They had heard the stories, and they believed that the treasure was real. They set out into the forest, determined to find it. They traveled deep into the forest, and as night fell, they found themselves lost. The trees grew thick and tall, and the underbrush was dense and tangled. They stumbled and tripped over roots and rocks, and soon they were hopelessly lost. As they wandered through the dark forest, they heard a strange sound. It was a soft, musical sound, like the tinkling of bells. It grew louder and louder until they came upon a clearing. In the center of the clearing was a beautiful fountain, and the sound was coming from it. The villagers were awestruck. They had never seen anything like it. The fountain was made of gleaming silver, and the water sparkled like diamonds in the moonlight. They approached it cautiously, wondering if it was the source of the magical treasure they sought. Suddenly, a figure appeared from the shadows. It was a beautiful woman, dressed in shimmering robes. She was the guardian of the fountain, and she warned the villagers that they should not be there. But the villagers were bold. They believed that the treasure was near, and they refused to leave. The guardian grew angry and raised her hand. Suddenly the fountain began to shake, and the water turned black. A dark mist began to rise from the water, and the villagers knew that they had angered the guardian. Just then a voice boomed from the darkness. It was an old man with a deep, booming voice. He told the villagers that they had trespassed on sacred ground, and that they should leave at once. But the villagers were stubborn. They refused to leave, and they demanded to know where the treasure was hidden. The old man sighed and shook his head. He told them that the treasure was not real, that it was just a story, and that they should return to their village before they got hurt. The villagers were disappointed, but they knew that the old man was right. They left the fountain and made their way back to the village. As they walked, they realized that they had learned a valuable lesson. They had been so focused on the treasure that they had forgotten the beauty and wonder of the forest itself. From that day on, they treated the forest with the respect it deserved. They lived their lives with a sense of wonder and awe, and they never forgot the lessons they had learned. Good night and sweet dreams.